When were you guys gonna tell me that I'm brown? And here's the thing, I'm raising money here for men's mental health this month, and being brown is fantastically a big point of someone's mental health, which you wouldn't think it would be, but that's the place we live right now. Well, before I go into talking about, yes, the fact I'm very notably brown, first of all, 4 days ago, Matt, personal connection to this, still a daily fight for men's mental health. Thank you so much for the 15, Matt. I can't express how much it means, how much any of this means. Another Matt, actually. This Matt I know as he's the older brother of a good old school friend. Great cause, go on, fella. We both donated to each other's last year. Matt, also 4 days ago, thank you for the £25. Mies, with the £50 donated just to shut you up, to be honest. Well, it didn't work, because I'm still here. Hope this works. Kidding, of course. Thanks for the amazing content for a while now. You're doing amazing. Signed, No Fresh / Timothy. And before I bring up this last one, because insane, the QR code's there, the link's below. If you want to give, the money goes to men's mental health. I'm raising money this month. I'm hoping to get to £1,000 raised. It'd mean the world to me. And to everyone else who I can help. That's all it is. 6 days ago, the first donation to come in, which is insane to me. Looking at the number, it doesn't feel real. And trust me. With a £200 donation. Who donated? Who's this saint? Let me thank them. Let me say thank you. Let me go, man, you're crazy. Or woman, you're crazy. An anonymous supporter. We had people give so much last year, and that felt unreal, and the feeling doesn't go away. 200 from an anonymous supporter. What? Thank you. Thank you. Not only from me, but from me back from when I was going through stuff. Bad stuff. And I can imagine a pseudo thank you from anyone who that money is going to help. Thank you to all of you, to Mies, to Matt, to the anonymous supporter, and just every single Movember video I will be doing these reading out the donations. Thank you. So Movember, here's the thing. I'm brown. I'm very evidently brown. Which flavor of brown are you, Sid? I'm Pakistani. क्या हो रहा है भाइयों? मेरा नाम है सैयद और what would welcome even be in? आज हम खेल रहे हैं The Crew Motor Fest. आज हम ये गाड़ी के साथ हम ये गाड़ी को कस्टमाइज करेंगे और ये गाड़ी को चलाएंगे इस रेस में और पता नहीं कैसे हो सब आज. ठीक हो? अच्छा बात है. उर्दू मुझे इतना अच्छा नहीं आता, बचपन से बोलता रहा. Don't worry, I'll go back to English in a minute. You're fine. I'll go back to English in a minute. मैं उर्दू बचपन से बोलता रहा हूँ. पाकिस्तान में पैदा हुआ था वैसे. पाकिस्तान में पैदा हुआ था, इस्लामाबाद में पैदा हुआ था. अंकल आंटियाँ कहते हैं मैं क्यूट सा उर्दू बोलता हूँ और मुझे बोलना आता है. लेकिन इतना सही करके नहीं. समझ आता है, पंजाबी भी समझ आता है, लेकिन उर्दू में वापस बोलना पड़ेगा मुझे. तो हाँ, समझ है, बोल सकता हूँ. मैं दोस्तों के साथ भी बोल सकता हूँ. मैं माँ बाप के साथ बोलता हूँ उर्दू. तो हर दिन का चीज़ है जो मैं बोलता हूँ. लेकिन बस बोलता हूँ. So, I'm Pakistani. A lot of people ask that. They assume Indian. No, they don't assume Indian. They ask, are you Muslim? And I'd assume the assumption there is I'm Pakistani, I guess. I don't know what the mustache makes me look like. I know when I had like the big scruffy beard, a lot of my relatives said I looked Bengali. But now I'm like down to the mustache. Like then I had the clean beard for most of this year, and now I've got the mustache. Which, can I say, before I get to talking about me being brown, I've been fucking rocking the mustache, man. I've been rocking it. This top isn't doing me many wonders, but I've been rocking the mustache. Okay, so I'm brown. And brown has a lot of connotations on my mental health. For many reasons. One thing is I've noticed many of my audience are actually brown. They're South Asian at least. And they're South Asian, but they'll live in whichever country, right? In fact, I can see. Not that you're brown, but United States, 30% of you, 11% United Kingdom. Germany is 6%. Canada is, Germany is my third most viewed. Oh, guten Tag. Canada, Netherlands. Then you know what people like when their countries are mentioned in stuff. So, in order, after the Netherlands, I'm gonna go to about... I'll do the everyone that goes to like 0.5%. Australia, India, Africa, India, salam bayo. South Africa, Italy, buongiorno, Poland, Brazil, France, bonjour. Sweden, Romania, Spain, hola. Belgium, Norway, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Portugal, United Arab Emirates, Greece, Philippines, Finland, Denmark, Austria, Malaysia, Turkey, Czechia, Russia, Hungary, New Zealand, Ireland, Switzerland, Mexico, and just under 0.5% is my place of birth, Pakistan. Which means I'm brown. Means I grew up with a certain culture and religion around me. It means living in the UK my entire life. It means I'm subject to, well, what I'll talk about. See, the thing about being brown, my kind of brown, is you have a religion around you. And that's all well and good. If you're into it and fine with it. I'm not religious. But what I grew up with was the kind of brown which was a father that abused and misused a religion and culture to control, to isolate, to abuse. Other very, very close family members who have used being brown to justify horrific things in history and denied legitimate medical health care to their own detriment due to being brown. Who have pushed me away due to my non-religiousness. And is that the kind of brown I want to be? See, I'm not religious, but I still hold a moral value. In fact, I talk to relatives of mine who know I'm not religious, and I explain to her some of the reasons I'm not religious, and then I explain my own moral belief, and that's on people. I believe in people. You can be non-religious and still hold strong morals because all we have in this life is people. If all these books and religions have this caveat where you only find out for sure after you're gone, well, all we have in this life is what is the people around us. I don't want to not steal because that's, you know, book said don't steal. I don't steal because that's a person I'm stealing from. I don't hurt because that's a person I'm hurting. Don't kill because that's a person I'm killing. People is the way I live my life. And the thing is my relatives have said, you know, it seems to me like you're as Muslim as you can be. The issue is I don't put that label on myself. Why? Because of what it's become recently. Not only what I saw growing up, but also these large public figures, these grifters, these hustlers, who have all of a sudden become religious. And I'm not even religious anymore. Yet, I feel this territorialism to it. This, even though I'm not, I can tell you're definitely not because you're abusing it. It's the same kind of abuse of the religion and culture that's done by these grifters who all of a sudden become religious. And then you can actively see them partaking in multiple things deemed haram. And the issue is a lot of young brown men are struggling mentally. They're in a culture which doesn't really accept mental health. And instead, they see these people who claim to now be religious, who only do that so they can receive control, whether it's over you via manipulation, whether it's over women, whether it's over money. they use this religion. And people are struggling recently. Brown people especially have been struggling recently, especially all over the world. And it sort of leads on from that. Because here's the thing. I want to finish up on brown as culture. Because like I said with the religion and stuff, one of the big things is mental health sort of doesn't exist. I don't know if that's an issue with other religions, but it definitely is with this one. You're not depressed, you're lazy. You don't have anxiety, you're a scared little bitch. Yeah, like there's this culture around it where mental health just seems to not be a thing. And it's sad. Because there's people in this culture who do believe it to be a thing. They're just not the ones I experienced. Thus I can't be religious like that. See, I accept mental health because it's people who struggle with it. But I've seen people who are that kind of brown and deny it. And it feels sad because you're denying yourself a little bit. To deny someone else's mental health is... unless you're also riddled with rampant hypocrisy. To deny someone else's mental health or to dismiss it is to admit that you've been denying your own. When I have a brown family member or anyone brown actively dismiss another brown person's mental health and not do it in a toxic way, in a genuine way, I'm like, whoa. It's sad to know that you grew up in a position thinking that that can be dismissed. A lot of people are just a product of their childhood. And a lot of people dismiss other people's emotions because their emotions were always dismissed. I feel like what happens with brown culture that I've seen, nothing to do with religion now, but with brown culture that I've seen, is that it's become this continuous cycle. Don't worry, I'm going to step out of brown in a minute. I'm going to step into brown as a culture. But talking about brown specifically, is that there's so much beauty in it, man. The food, the artistry, the people, the languages, the diversity. You know what's fascinating about brown? Is that there is notable differences. Like if I'm talking to my my relatives or my mom, like she can tell a Sri Lankan from a Bengali, from a Pakistani, from an Indian, from, if you get more into the weeds of it, from a South Pakistani, from a North, like all of that. There is, and just in like the culture of it, the foods. Bengalis have their own food. Sri Lankans have their own food. Pakistanis have their own food. Indians have their own food. What are the other browns? I know there's many other browns. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. But they become these self-fulfilling cycles. Brown men are... their emotions are dismissed. They're not, and I've noticed this a lot recently with myself, is the big issue is that they're not taught self-control. They have control enforced upon them. There's a big difference. Because what ends up happening is those men have this control enforced upon them growing up, and then when they're given into a marriage, they've been given control and only been shown one way to control their entire life. And that's sad. Now, obviously, this is anecdotal, but I've seen it a lot. These women who grow up in the culture, many are light on it, and that's brilliant. But many are strict on it. A more personal story. My father is a very abusive man. My stepmother took the brunt of that. A lot of the brunt of that. Keeps taking the brunt of that. I mean, I've not lived there or talked to them in a very long time, but bad abuse. He would sit there and do nothing all day. Lie, cheat, and steal. Cheat. And she would be the one mandatorily keeping the house and keeping the kids, of which he enforced 4, on top of me and my sister, and then 4 others, who she was the sole responsibility, which she took the sole responsibility of, had to take care of the house, do things for him, and look after everything else, as he would come back and stay on his phone all day. And she really struggled with this. And then when I said to her, as I obviously began to clearly reject the culture, I said to her, why do you allow this? Why do you accept this? She said that's what women are supposed to do in this religion, in this culture. She's wrong. But there's no way she can be shown that, because it's been so ingrained in her. And I know this is about men's mental health, but everyone goes through goddamn mental health. It's just the religion brings something out in them. Not in all of them, not in every one of them. And I know all of them have the capability to be amazing in themselves. It's just what it does is worrying. It's what it can do, being brown, and what you can be born into being brown. If you are struggling with that, see, I wasn't religious, and that was a massive point of contact in my entire life. I feel people assume I'm a worse person and lacking in moral belief because I'm not religious, despite what I explained. I am pushed out. I am made to feel less than. I am anything and everything that can be done to someone who does not conform in a situation where someone who is religious is abusive. There is many situations in which someone who is religious is not abusive, and you can be happily non-religious around them. But I've just not seen that in practice. That's a shame. If you struggle with that, it's scary, I know. It is. I hope they can learn to accept you. If you have to hide it, like I did for 18 years, I'm sorry, and I hope you are able to escape it. Just give it time, and stay strong. And just being not religious doesn't make you a bad person. Just being religious doesn't make you a good person. Both are capable of being utter garbage, and both are capable of being the best of the best. But here's the other thing about being brown. Many cultures are made fun of. Many religions are made fun of. Many ethnicities are made fun of. Whether that be black, whether that be East Asian, whether that be South Asian, whether that be anything and everything in between. There's a lot of discrimination. And now I'm going to take it down a peg because there's what is going on right now to people who are brown and Muslim, which is horrific, heartbreaking, and tragic. What is going on in the world right now to those innocent committing the only crime of being brown and being born into a religion. Horrific. But I'm going to bring it all the way down. Because despite the things going on in the world, I've still got thousands of people watching, and those thousands of people are living regular lives. Like I said with my analytics, you know, it's United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, Netherlands. Those countries specifically don't have those things going on anymore. But, at the moment. So those are people living regular lives. I'm one of those people who is South Asian and living in this life. But you know what's insane to me? Discrimination against other ethnicities is still rather taboo. And it's not a case of discrimination top trumps. It isn't. But I don't know if it's just me who's observed it. I don't know if it's just a United Kingdom thing. But it feels like being brown is an easy butt of the joke. An accepted butt of the joke. To the point of it's a joke that I can immediately clock if this joke was made about anyone else. It would be met with, whoa, that's out of line. But brown is just this still cartoon caricature in Western culture. From any brown character having the thick brown accent, the cartoonish brown accent, from the ease of KSI recently saying a slur against South Asians as a joke and people laughing. From the casualness of a stereotype joke. Whether that be anything, man. It's horrific to even think about, because it's something I've dealt with my entire life. In school, growing up, I mean, I don't care about it now. You know what's more sad? That I'm now in a privileged enough position that I don't recognize it every single day. But what's even more sad is that even though that I'm privileged enough that I don't recognize every day, whether that's the area that I live in, the people that I have around me, even though I'm privileged enough that I don't constantly think, oh, I'm brown, right, yeah, okay, gotta deal with this my entire life, I still have in the back of my head the kid, young, being bullied for nothing other than being socially awkward and brown and just wishing I was not. Wishing I was many other things, but just wishing I was at least not brown. Because it's easy. To this very day. It's easy for brown to be the butt of the joke. In a way that I just don't see. And it feels like brown is so left out of the conversation so often. And there's so many assumptions. Like, I'm not religious. Yet with what's going on in the UK, like what feels, and I know it's just news that makes me feel like this. The craziest thing is that again, like I said, I'm privileged enough because I don't stay on my phone all day, every day. I go to the gym. I go out to meet mates. I go to car meets. I talk to my girlfriend. I go out to events and stuff. I talk to people there. I have all of that. I can live a full day and not realize I'm brown. I've had days where I walk outside and I'm walking and I've been called a Paki before. It was just a group of old white men. They didn't like shout at me. They were like they were in conversation. I forget what it was like. They were in conversation, and I was like, oh, it was something along the lines of they looked. I realized. I clocked. Too many Pakis around here nowadays. cycling past a group of hoodlums on the younger side. Just a racist stereotype. Just hurled at me as I'm cycling. Alright, yeah, great. Yeah, okay, great. Alright. Those days happen. But on a day-to-day, I don't notice it. But with what I see is going on in the world now, I feel an obligation. And it's sad that I feel an obligation to clarify in some way that I'm not religious. Not because I'm ashamed of being, because there is so much beauty in that religion, but for the sole reason that it's hated for the sake of. That it's hated because people want to make those who are brown seen as the other and discriminated against. And I can't lie, when it's at the worst of the worst, it affects my mental health. If you are someone who is brown and lives in a largely non-brown area. See, here's the thing. When I grew up younger, I was in Luton. And then I moved to a village. That should say all it needs to. Believe it or not, it got better and better. The ratio. But it was genuinely like I was in upper school, middle school, lower school. It was like brown 1 in 30, 1 in 70. I'd say 1 in 100 maybe. And then I was the only brown kid at my lower school. The only one. And if you're in that position, I know it's hard. I know it sucks. But don't lose you. I used to feel ashamed. I used to feel ashamed that I could speak 2 languages. You know why? Because it validated those who thought I was other. That's sad. That sucks. That sucks. Whether you're any ethnicity here. This isn't even about brown anymore. Whether you're any ethnicity. I had East Asian friends who felt the same way. I felt, because my parents didn't know what the culture was like, I was treated as other for being naive. The issue is it was a brown tornado. It was this feeling of other at school, and having this person at home, brown, using that culture to manipulate and isolate. So I didn't have social media, I wasn't allowed a girlfriend, I wasn't allowed many friends if they were white, or especially if they were female. I was told, white people just hate you. They're all out to get you. I'll get to that one, because I just opened a can of worms in my head. It was that. I was made isolated because of the brown, and then discriminated against because of the brown. So if you're in that situation, I hope you can use me as a proof of concept. It's gonna be okay. When you grow up, you'll realize this shit's a flex, man. I can speak 2 languages. Even if it kind of makes you separate from both. Be you. I don't really fit in that much with white people. I don't really fit in that much with brown people. I can host a heck of a conversation with both. But I want to harp back to that. If you are brown or any ethnicity and you're being perpetuated this idea of the reverse. No, white people, they all hate you. They'll kill you just for being brown. Don't let that get to you. Be smart if you're in an area where there's people. Not, where there's white people. Where there's people who have those horrific opinions. Who act on those horrific opinions. Be safe. But I had a friend. Have a friend. And this friend, white as they come. White as they come. She knew how to make pancakes and had pasties, and she's pretty white. Basically, she as white as they come. And I was made to feel as though she could not be trusted by my relatives. You know who was there for me when my father kicked me out of my house after assaulting me? Her and her family. Her mother, as white as they come, for that brief period where I needed somewhere to stay, treated me like I was one of her own. See, the thing is, when you're brown somewhere brown, obviously you aren't gonna be conscious of the fact you're brown. But when you're brown in a really hostile to brown area, or at least what you or lacking in brown area, you know what makes you feel more brown than anything? The brown people around you. She took me in like her own, and I could not be more grateful for her, for this friend of mine. I couldn't be more grateful because they didn't think for a second about the fact that I was brown. And there's enough people out there in this life to appreciate. So if you're out there, not even just brown, if you're any ethnicity and you feel hurt, trod on, just stick through it and find those who won't. You know what I can kind of compare it to? I'll do a separate video on just women in general. But, like, I kind of compare it to relationships. You know what I say about my current relationship is it's made me really bad at relationship advice. Because people argue in relationships, and then I'm like, I don't know what to say because I'm just not in that kind of relationship anymore. I've not had a single argument with my girlfriend in our entirety together. We've never had a single hostile word to say against each other. We are so casually in love. We are just the epitome of love being the default. It's just, yeah, we're in love. And I just found her. Because I kept looking. So do not give up. Keep looking. This friend that I have, and had more at childhood, I just found her. And she was there for me. The friends that I have now, that you guys know, Josh, Dylan, any of them, any friends, my friend Tom, I just found them. There's people that care, there's people that don't. So do not give up. Find your people. Because those people are out there. Not being with the people you're with, the opposite of that, is not being with anyone. It's not you are with those people or you have no one. It's you have the right people. This was my absolute rambles on being brown. I don't even know. Did I even finish everything correctly? I talked about the religious aspect, the cultural aspect, the discrimination aspect. Yeah. I think that's it. I guess. Thanks so much for watching. Donate to Movember in a